I would like to follow up on the issue of your interim final rule. The Supreme Court's decision in overturning Roe has created fear and chaos throughout the country, including for the 300,000 or so female veterans you just mentioned of childbearing age. Many of them live in states where abortion is no longer available. So the VA's decision to provide abortion services in the instances of rape, incest, and the life or health of a mother will save lives. There is absolutely no question that this interim rule will save lives. And this is something that I called on the VA to do, to come up with this interim rule. So the Alabama Attorney General has already said that he will prosecute any provider, anybody who provides these services, and I would expect other Republican attorney generals in the states where abortion is not provided to follow suit. Mr. Secretary, what legal protections do federal employees at VA have under the interim final rule?
Thank you for the question, Senator. I just reiterate the principle that led us to take this step is veteran patient safety. We take that very, very seriously. Every health decision we make flows from that principle. As it relates to your specific question, VA requested and has received now, just in the last couple of hours, an opinion from the Justice Department's Office of Legal Counsel, concluding that VA's interim final rule on access to reproductive health services is a lawful exercise of VA's authority. The OLC opinion further concludes that states may not impose criminal or civil liability on VA employees, including doctors, nurses, administrative staff, who provide or facilitate abortions or related services in a manner authorized by federal law, including the IFR. As that opinion, I'm told, explains, the Supremacy Clause of the U.S. Constitution bars state officials from penalizing VA employees for performing their federal functions, whether through criminal prosecution, license revocation proceedings, or civil litigation. So I think this OLC opinion makes very clear the protections that are afforded VA providers.
That is good to hear because there's no question, as I mentioned, that the Supreme Court's decision has created a lot of fear among doctors and the professionals, doctors, nurses, and others, as to what kind of reproductive services they can provide. And it is really important that as far as the VA is concerned in terms of their legal posture, that they are able to provide these kinds of services without being dragged into court by state attorneys general. Thank you very much for your I really appreciate the VA in the context of this environment of chaos and fear as a result of the Roe decision that you have stepped forward to provide these services for the hundreds of thousands of veterans who are of childbearing age. I also appreciate your comments about the department's plans to focus on challenges veterans are facing in different parts of the country, including Hawaii. Hawaii's unique geography creates significant challenges for veterans when it comes to access and care through both the VA or in the community, especially given Hawaii's current shortage of healthcare workers. So veterans living in a more rural community, neighbor island veterans, not those living on Oahu, still sometimes have to wait months to get treated in the community on the island in which they live. When traveling to a VA facility on Oahu, for example, could significantly reduce their wait times. If a veteran referred to community care can be treated much sooner at a VA facility, does the department provide reimbursement for travel to get such treatment?
We do have beneficiary travel. This is an issue of particular importance, I know, to you in your state, to Senator Moran and his, Senator Tester, Senator Rounds and his, given those big geographic expanses. The rules on that are governed by established practice and in some cases statute. But yes, we do provide reimbursement for travel, not in every case, but in many cases.
So are these individual case-by-case determinations? Because I would think that if there is an emergency, then that it is more likely that you would pay for such travel. But if it's not an emergency, but let's say it is to alleviate pain, would
Yeah.
that be considered?
I think what would be,
reimbursable
I think
travel.
what would be useful, and I know Senator Sullivan in particular on this question of emergent transportation reimbursement is also obviously given this situation similar to yours geographically. We have certain authorities now, emergency authorities, that allow us to cover certain emergency proceedings and procedures related to the fact of the pandemic. When those emergency authorities go away, we'll have to look at those and establish that. But as it relates, rather than me trying to go through the individual eaches here, I know we'll be spending some time together, and we'll figure out.
Appreciate that very much.
We'll be happy to dig into those questions with you.
By the way, Mr. Chairman, I'm really glad that thank you for agreeing to let our secretary come to Hawaii, but it is not just because we have a lovely state, because when the secretary comes, he will be working every moment. He will not be lying around in the sun, right?
Well, I arrive in the morning and I leave in the afternoon.
There you go.
I'm only curious at what season the secretary is visiting.
Well,
Senator,
he's coming, we're glad. Thank you.